This is definitely going to ruffle feathers, but at some point, it has to be said that in this country, my pro-Palestinian leftists are taking their fight to the wrong people still in this moment. You guys are really struggling with the fact that you hitched your wagon to the wrong horse, all right? Your efforts to make sure Kamala did not get elected was all in vain, because the person you allowed to take the presidency has no love for you at all. In fact, he wants to see Palestine, he wants to see Gaza erased. Just the other day, Republicans introduced legislation to try and have anybody put in prison for up to 20 years or possibly fined 6 or 7 figures if they decide to boycott Israel. The president right now has said time and time again that he will have the United States control the Gaza Strip in hopes that they can repurpose it and use it as prime real estate. He has said the Palestinians don't belong there. He will move them wherever they need to go, but they don't belong there. That was not the energy that you got from the Democratic Party. And I know y'all don't want to admit it. You guys want to live on this whole idea that both sides are the same. You know, everybody's funded by AIPAC, which we're aware of. And so both sides are the same. Both sides want to see the destruction happen. But I'm sorry, that's not true. The real Zionists, the real extremists, the real cruel warmongers are all sitting in the Republican Party right now. They're the ones having students snatched up off the street and just taken wherever they want to be taken or deported out of the country altogether. They're the ones having American citizens now. American citizens who supported your cause, they're being snatched up and questioned and put into compromising situations for standing up and defending you guys. That is the party that has made it very, very clear that they will do any and everything they can to make your life as difficult as possible. They don't have your back, and they've said it openly over and over and over again. But you all still keep taking your smoke to Democrats. You all still keep taking your smoke and your big protests to people like AOC, to Cory Booker, to all of these people who are not going out of their way to see you put in harm's way. Why won't you take that energy to Republicans? That is my question to you. I have not heard a good explanation for that yet. And I'm curious because I would love to have this conversation. Why won't you take your energy to the Republican Party? What are you afraid of? Be honest. Why do you feel so confident taking this smoke only to Democrats? I've only seen you guys still, during the Trump presidency, go after Democrats. You don't bring up the Palestinian stuff at Republican town halls. You don't bring up the pro-Palestinian stuff at Trump rallies. Why do you still feel that all your smoke needs to come at Democrats? I'm curious. I would like to know.
Welcome back to our channel, AI Crystal. We're so glad to have you here, especially our loyal subscribers. If you're new, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. And to our returning subscribers.
So the people who told you not to vote for Kamala, all of a sudden, have nothing to say anymore. Because when the fighting actually gets tough, they just dip out. I wish nothing except for those people to be broke as hell their whole life. That's all.
I don't know what I was expecting from my trip to Palestine, but I certainly did not.
I don't believe a single word coming out of this woman's mouth. Not a single word. Unless we can hear from the black people involved, I do not care. Where are the black people involved? Where are these black people that you're talking about? Where are they? It's been days. Where are the black people involved? Listen, I'm not sure if I missed anything about this story because I haven't seen a single black person involved in that situation come forward and talk about it. So I'm trying to understand, why exactly did you feel the need to put this story out? Why? Let me just remind everybody that nobody knew about this story. She's the first person to come forward and talk about it. Not a single black person involved in that situation came out to talk about this. Why exactly did this woman feel the need to put this story out? Why? It's not like she got called out and she's out here defending herself. No, something ain't right. This whole thing is fishy. I have a strong feeling that this story is way worse than she is telling it. Listening to her version of the story, I can only say this. Either the story is way worse than she's telling it, or this whole thing is made up.
Here is something I want to make abundantly clear. I fully understand the frustration that the Palestinian Americans had with Joe Biden's administration as it related to the genocide taking place in Gaza. I understand fully that many Palestinian Americans wanted Kamala Harris to be more aggressive and assertive in her distancing from Joe Biden's policies. Because let's make one thing clear. She was not the president. She was the vice president. And ultimately, the president has the ultimate say. But where my issue lies is we're now almost 4 months into Donald Trump's administration, and Palestinian Americans are still bashing Democrats, the likes of AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has been an outspoken advocate for the people of Palestine. Full stop. Now, we can get into this argument about the type of words that she used, if it's as aggressive as it should be. We can have a different debate about that. However, that is someone that even criticized the Biden and Harris administration in their handling of the genocide taking place in Gaza. But where my problem lies is that nobody, and I mean nobody, many Palestinian Americans take that same anger and aim it towards Donald Trump, who wants to turn Gaza into another massive Trump hotel. That's where my problem is. Where is the anger that y'all had for an administration that was not perfect? And I don't think anybody should expect any administration to be perfect in its handling of geopolitics. But they were trying. Versus an administration that doesn't give a damn about you, who has a Republican Party that wants Israel to, quote unquote, finish the job. Explain that to me. That is where my issue is. You show up at Democrats' town halls, bashing them, but you don't show up at any of the Republicans' town halls who are actively doing everything in their power to bring about the end of your people. Where's the anger towards that? Where's the frustration and the outcry towards a blatant disregard to the very survival of your people? That's my frustration. Kamala was not perfect. Joe Biden was not perfect, but they were light years ahead of what Donald Trump is doing and wants to do. And that is a fact.
The topic of solidarity between Black folks and Palestinians has existed since the inception of the State of Israel and the Nakba, and the issue of Black and Palestinian liberation not only mirror each other, but are inextricably linked in their histories. Support for the freedom of Palestinians has been an element of the Black Panther Party, of the Black Lives Matter movement, of the ending of apartheid in South Africa. Nelson Mandela, after his release from prison in 1990, embraced Yasser Arafat. In 1997, he said, "We know our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of Palestinians." In the 1950s, Malcolm X was one of the first Black Americans to show support for the Palestinian cause and said Black Americans would show complete sympathy with the Arab cause. Several months before his assassination, he visited the Gaza Strip and was completely critical of Israel. The Black Panther Party considered Black Americans to be internally colonized and stated that Black Americans and Palestinians were essentially treated as third world peoples who were oppressed by colonialism and imperialism together. In more recent history, in 2014, in the Ferguson Uprising, Palestinians online showed support, expressed solidarity, and offered advice to protesters in Ferguson. And there were chants that gained prominence at this time. From Ferguson to Palestine, occupation is a crime. These liberation movements have been linked for decades. And this is one of the first times that we're seeing such a divide where we're being told that our values don't align with one another, and that is not the case. Both of these groups are aware that we're in a lose-lose situation with this current election. On one hand, we have Trump, who we are very aware is not good for Palestinians or for Black Americans. And on the other hand, we have Kamala Harris, who has also proven that she is not good for Palestinians or Black Americans. And we're sitting here so incredibly divided over what the right answer is when there's no clear answer for anybody. It doesn't turn out good for anybody. I mean, I have seen so much division on this app in the last couple of days. I think we need to sit down and have more open and honest conversations about how this election cycle impacts different minority communities. What they are afraid of is our unity. And we talk so much about harm reduction. I think the most harm reductive thing we could do is put our collective voices together and use them to pressure her campaign to actually vote in the interests of the American people, to adopt policies that we want to see on our ballots, rather than just blindly following her platform as it is currently. We can say we intend to vote for Kamala Harris, but demand that she do better for Palestinians and for Black Americans.
This is why some people are so dangerous to the movement, not only to the pro-Palestinian movement, but also to Black activism. Because if I was somebody else, if I haven't already done so much work for the Black community, if I didn't already have a deep understanding of racial dynamics, this entire experience might have pushed me away from the Black community. But I know that these rotten tomatoes in the community do not represent the Black.
I don't speak for us all, but I do speak for the rotten tomatoes when I say you can go. Consider yourself pushed, shoved. You are lucky that you were able to cobble together a group of Black people to go on that trip in the first place. After you nonsense, never Kamala, vote for Kamala as a vote for genocide people shows your asses last November. Okay? Also, I don't believe you. I don't believe the beggars asking for money incident is the only instance of racism that they experience. I believe it's the most innocuous one that you strategically picked to minimize their concerns. Okay?
Today we're diving deep into a hot topic, Arabs for Trump, a movement gaining attention in political circles. We'll break down what's fueling this support and how it's shaping current narratives. And we're also discussing the call from Palestinian activists urging the Black community to stand in solidarity during protests. We'll explore the history, the complexities, and what this unity could mean in today's social and political climate. Remember, we're here to bring you honest conversations and in-depth perspectives. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Also, big shout out and credit to the original creators, journalists, and sources contributing to this conversation. Your work is appreciated. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think these alliances are symbolic or game-changing? Let's get the conversation